See if this all works across the board. Turns out I did have a recovery code for my restream, so I managed to get that back. Yay!
Recovery code for Twitch?
No. For Restream, which is a service that lets me stream to multiple things at the same time. And then I don't have a recovery code for Discord, unfortunately, which is why I can't alert you guys right now until such time that I figure out a way to reset that thing without a recovery code, which I don't know if that's ever going to happen, but we'll see. You never know in the fullness of time.
But
That all said, at 7:45, may I say welcome back, everybody, to another exciting episode of Dungeons and Dragons. Last week kind of held up for a bit of illness. Ugh. That seems to be stubbornly holding on. We come back to the dungeons underneath an old derelict manor spreading out across a compound. Our gangsters turned race team have now since been exploring the Undercroft, the garage and skunk works that have sat in ruin, only to find themselves refurbished by one evil doer, whom they are now doing their best to escape the detonating machinations of, having encountered some strange arcanic affairs that are now, at this time, finding their way through the earth in a rupturing manner. With that all said, the entirety of the crew finds themselves split across three fronts in time, exploring the whole of the space as they might, doing their best to either discover its secrets or perhaps at this point simply escape whatever those secrets are resulting in all around them. The whole of the strange space is completely rife with an ectoplasmic substance, some strange something oozing from all the cracks growing in the walls all around, rupturings amidst quakes and shakes causing the ceiling to nearly cave in on them if they're not careful, as they venture towards, who's to say, salvation? Maybe just another day on the right side of the soil. Regardless, they do their best to survive against these strange elements that surround them, doing their best to get out now that they have done their best to get in. With that, Sean, if you could do us the favor of regaling us what happened last episode.
Sure. Here we go. So we open up. We're looking at Orion. He's coming backwards through the portal. Sees familiar bodies strewn everywhere. Sees Lady Luck stepping out of the shadow. She's warning him about going back, inviting him to stay, to come home. And as he's staring at statues, he feels a headache, and it's suddenly quiet. He's brought back to life and is in front of the vizier and some clerics. Cut to nightfall sometime later. Mansur asks how he's feeling, mentions he couldn't get his nut reattached. Mansur tells him there are many bad things happening in the city. Orion wants to find his crew and wants to get back to the garage. Laz is back in the stairwell after having been blasted backwards. There are cracks in the wall and the frost is melting. All the assailants are frozen and dead in the ground. Laz is covered in frost. He picks up a little bit of money, picks up a couple of daggers and some sort of potion. It smells like sea salt and bubbles. Heads in the direction of his friends, follows a lot of the footwork, sees opening and tread marks worn into the dirt. Smells acrid, an offensive smell, stench of burnt rubber coming from down there. Laz grabs a few stones in one hand and makes his way into the hall. Curving down the ramp, 50 feet in width, about 600 feet long, not completely dark, green veins in the ceiling. Comes to a cave and then comes to a door. It's green glowing in all different directions. Sees a few gaps overhead and gas coming out. There's a rumble and there's a fluid burbling somewhere. He coats the end of his hand axe and it drips off like molasses, leaves a stain and hisses a bit. Laz takes a tire saw and pitches it in the green goo, which floats and then sinks for about 20 minutes. Laz begins to open the door and finds some tension, puts a rock in the door to jam it from closing fully when he goes through it. Walk inside, he sees there used to be a window, open rectangular space that leads into the tunnel he was just in. Continues into this man tunnel about 20 feet tall, 10 feet wide, barrels and stacks of crates along and labeled Black Rock, 100% raw, authentic. He opens a crate and sees ingots of black. It's apparently Gandhian fuel. It's like a coal, but he takes a small chunk of it and puts it in a bag and carries it with him. Enters into a wide space, staring down to a large garage, comes out through a man door, hears a rumble down below. Cracks and fissures are opening up behind him. There's a doorway off to the left, and overhead there are suspended vehicles, frames, a door. On the other side of the fence, he can see double doors, decides to climb over to get to the door, reaches them, and then hears a rumbling, but nothing else, and goes through the door. We cut over to the laboratory. The laboratory is frozen over and covered in snow. Sorth is waking up and wondering if it was a dream, surrounded by frozen corpses. Sorth sees Bjorn and heads over to heal him. Sorth then tries to wake up Yolanda with melted snow water. They hear a rumbling. Something terrible has happened. They see a split in the stone wall with a green substance bleeding from it. Bjorn wants to make his way away from the cracking and sounds. All three are heading to a chamber in the hope it's safe. In the chamber, it looks like a stairwell a few stories up and an unknown number down, maybe like 5 flights. More rumbling, more cracks and green. Sorth says they should head up. At the first landing, there's rubble falling down from overhead. Sees streams of white powder, which was snow. Green stuff is melting the snow, though. There are halls that spider off from this hall and this landing, on a row of cots. Bjorn is looting the joint, looking for some clothes, finds a shirt, studded leather armor. As he dons it, keyring falls loose from the belt. Sorth is looking for food and finds a bite or two. It's been quiet for about 10 minutes, no rumbling. Bjorn finds some more of his armor pieces, and he's striped up, finds a long sword in the other footlocker. Sorth finds an archery range, sees a bows and crates of glistening arrows, metal shafted, glistening grappling arrows. Yolanda finds a book on dwarven hand cannons and ammo. Stacked crates as green goo hits the wood. The crate burns it, creating noxious fumes. So they head back to the staircase. They all want to go up, but the fumes are getting worse as they go up. Everyone has to make a constitution save. Bjorn's having a tough time breathing, keeping his eyes open. Beginning of a headache. His mouth is dry. Ears begin to thump. Sorth shares his water skin. Bjorn casts wind and gets a little bit of fresh air in there. They recognize an elevator that would go up to the ceiling. Yolanda goes to open the hatch. Seems like the hatch is rusted. Sorth thinks he understands the gears, chains controlling the elevator. Yolanda sees a panel on the wall next to the elevator, and they figure out that cranking the wheel in the wall lowers the platform. Platform lowers. They can see up into what looks like the garage. They hear laughter and a flash of lightning, and then more laughter. Sorth, Bjorn, and Yolanda all head up into the garage. They're in the garage that Laz was just in, apparently, with the fence, the double door. They see a marble stairwell through one set of doors with laughter and mumbling. They decide to work on opening that large door. When trying to open the door, there's a sheet of ice holding it shut. Door swings open. When we cut to Barium, who steps into the garage that Laz was just in. He hears the Vizier, Mansour, Orion, and them can hear Barry. Mansour is leading the walk towards Barry's voice. Orion calls out for Barium. Barry hears his name and sees a silhouette in the green hue, and he hears Mansour, the Vizier. They finally recognize each other despite the disbelief. Barry tackles Orion, and Mansour is just standing there. A bunch of hired help comes in too. There's a bunch of mercenaries. Back to Laz. Laz is in the room. He doesn't see anyone there. Hears muttering ahead of him. On the way to the left, passes by what seems to be a hatch in the floor with a handle, marble floor, shining walls. There's a mirror at the far end. Hears muttering and sighing, and then gets to the stairwell and sees statues at the top. Hides behind the statue at the top of the stairs, sees a rotunda at the end of a short hallway, and a single mirror and a bunch of frozen forms. There's a crack in the wall at the side of it. On the other side of the mirror is a workshop. Pipes, tubing, shimmering silhouette of a robed individual. Alkalites are moving about him, and he walks back to the mirror and looks at it. As he moves to the mirror and steps through the mirror into the rotunda, one of the frozen bodies is Sophie de la Vega. The alkalite is trying to take a book from her. There's another alkalite there as well. Laz rushes in and crushes the skull of the first one, goes to get the book and finds Sophie a little alive, only mostly dead. Here's the other alkalite coming back, and it cuts to black. I have a note to self. That's for me. I'm not going to say that one. Barry is relieved to see Orion and Sora and the mercenaries. Iced over wings, arms, limbs out of a pile of snow, and rumbling, and a fissure opens up. So that's the last note I have. I didn't quite catch where that was related to. And that's what I got.
Right on. Memory serves, the earthquakes are back with Bjorn, Bjorn, Sorth, and Yolandu, as they are situated within, as they were situated within the garage last I left you guys, having come up through the floor. All right. And so with that, we can open up. Excuse me, still recovering here, obviously. We open up on the rattling of metal junk, some of it old treasures, other pieces of it, as the whole of the area gives a nice decided shake, signifying, or rather threatening, to fall in upon itself. A chunk of something chromid and steel drops from the overhead storage in this garage space, smashing down on the floor as it clatters, clanking loudly, and skittering off just past where Bjorn's standing. Another large chunk of steel, a piece of a frame, suddenly falls, clashing down into the ground. It smashes up bits of the tile floor. One of the plates that makes up the oil pit to this area, the edge of the oil pit that you opened up, flings away and clatters against the brickwork, causing bunches of it to shatter off and sparks to fly. The camera slowly makes its way around, meandering from each of your expressions as you regard the whole of the space as it continues to shake around you. I need each of you to make a quick dex check.
It's every one of us?
Sorry, that would be Bjorn, Yolandu, and Sorth, as you guys are currently situated in that space.
Nat 1.
Ooh, that sucks.
Oh, God.
Got 2. Or I guess 5.
All right,
2 plus 3.
There's a tire that falls from overhead, and it bounces down next to Yolandu, knocking you over for all of 6 points of bludgeoning damage. As it batters past, you watch as suddenly there's a loud clash, and Sorth is surprised to suddenly find himself surrounded on all sides by a frame, as it just drops from the ceiling like a perfect mousetrap. Just from above, it clatters down and embeds itself in the floor, barring you in on all sides as it smashes you in the head for, we'll call it 6 points of bludgeoning damage as well.
I got a 4.
Good lord, man.
This was a dangerous rumble.
Lucky you, you got 7 out of the deal.
I get knocked out.
Oh, shitty. As the whole of the camera pans around unceremoniously, you guys watch as Bjorn's somewhat grayish corpse body that's not gets knocked down out of camera view. As the camera continues to truck backwards with the rumbling, we see him sprawled out. Meanwhile, Yolandu and Sorth nearby, looking around at the space as the rumbling starts to ease a moment later. You see overhead the various frames rattling away, and you can hear in the distance some sort of strange grumbling noise echo about.
When the rumbling stops, can I use my doctor skills to try to get Bjorn back up?
Yeah, I'm down with that.
Let's roll medicine.
Let's start there, sure.
Alright, let's roll another 2.
Sweet. You look at him and you're like, yep, he's knocked out. He's in a bad way.
I got a
I'm a doctor. We're
I got
gonna
a
podiatrist.
what?
So with that
There's
said,
2.
do you have any potions or anything like that? Do you have anything to heal him with?
Oh, I haven't managed. Oh, I got 14. I was looking at it really well.
All right. Well, in short, you look at it, you look him over, and you can see that he's knocked unconscious. And so, if you had a smelling salts, I'd let you wake him up. But That's about the minimum I'm gonna need here. Something to wake the poor bastard up. He's just been struck in the head. Something fierce. You got anything other than a medicine roll? You got anything on you? You got any? Do you want to shit in your hand and rub it on his mustache?
Yeah, I was gonna say I haven't shouted in a while.
You're also undead now, so you find it. You're just like farting dust, and you're like, doesn't even have a smell. It's like bone meal almost.
So you're saying I can't fart on his face and he won't wake up?
Yeah, it's an unfortunate circumstance. I mean, you can fart in his face, obviously. I'm not going to stop you there. I'm just the DM. I just work here. But anyway, so point being, though.
Yolando, forgetting that he's undead, he tries to wake up Bjorn by farting at his face. And it obviously doesn't work.
Sorth is just gonna sit barred up going, "That's rancid."
It's to save our friend, who cares?
In that case, I'm gonna try and bust out of my little frame cage here.
All right.
Just gonna reef on the bars.
That's fair. Throw me athletics.
Oh yeah, okay, nat 20.
Fantastic stuff. You actually managed to leverage it just using your shoulders and thighs and reef the thing up before bending it open. It's a nice large opening in the thing now. You managed to make it out without issue.
I'm gonna go over to Bjorn and push Yolando aside and use Cure Wounds on him.
You hold out your hand and bestow upon his body a healing word.
For 7 points.
Thank you.
The cooling arcanic energies wash across your skin, suturing up the wound upon your brow. The blood that is there slowly flakes off, dusting away a moment later. As the room continues to rumble and then come to a quiet still, the camera pulls back to show the whole of the massive space, with the various elevators on the one side, the doorways leading in and out of this space, and of course the open oil pit in the floor that you came up through.
I'm gonna try and move into one of the doorways, just hoping the frame of it'll protect me.
The whole of the place ceases to rumble almost comically as you step into the doorway, but as you step into the doorway, you can hear a bit of a breeze rushing from far away down where this corridor leads up a flight of stairs that you can see. You can hear what you think is common or Kalashite. You're not quite sure, but speech all the same.
I'll call over to Sorth and Yolando and let them know that I feel fresh air coming from this door, but there's guards up ahead, I think.
Okay.
I'll walk up, pull my ear to the door, trying to listen to what they're saying.
So the door's open and Bjorn's in the doorway, so you kind of put your ear up against Bjorn and hear loud heartbeat. No, wait, I'm kidding. He's undead. You hear nothing. You don't hear shit. So.
What is your heartbeat?
Probably
You're the doctor, you tell me.
That said, though,
I'll have to dissect you later.
Sorth's gonna ready his bow just in case.
Sounds good.
Kind of an inch slower, like closer to the door.
As you head in towards the door, you recognize the storage space from underneath one of the elevators. But that being said, you can both at this point see the opening in the wall that wasn't there before. There's clearly a sliding metal panel behind what seems to be a false slab of brick. And so with that said, the brick's been slid to the one side. There's a doorway sitting slightly open that you can see. Simple metal, like I was saying. And beyond that, a little bit of a hallway. The hallway is clearly masoned. It's not just like some hewn tunnel.
That must be the way out. We should head towards there. But be careful.
If we can find a place to rest a moment, it would
I'm just gonna state
help.
the way out of this place. You guys know it. You guys do know it. You came in through a way out.
Oh,
Well, two of us came in dead.
Oh yeah, that's right too. Sorry, my bad.
I guess
bad.
I'm the only one that knows shit.
And to that matter, Sorth does happen to know how to get out of here from the garage. Because you came in through the tunnel, did you not?
Yeah, the tunnel upstairs. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
or yeah, it was through a door into a tunnel, right?
So the point being is that you got here through the way that is leading into this space, specifically speaking. You're in the garage, and there was the double doors that led into this place. That was the tunnel, remember? Or wait, hold on. Did you? No, wait. You came in. You came in differently. That's right.
Like the back
Yeah,
door
I
with
came
the
in through. Yeah,
Never mind. You came in through the. That's right. Yeah.
the
My
other
bad,
side.
My bad. So from where you are, I'm trying to think here. You would go back down through the floor and then back through the hallways to get to another stairwell. So from this location where you're at, you're not sure how to get there.
I'm gonna stick with my first statement and assume that that is the secret way out. That hole in the wall.
With that said,
I'll trust him to guide me out. He's a ranger after all.
I'll trust him too because I got no other option.
that's fair. It's a fair reason. So with that said, Sorth is going to move forth. You're going to let Sorth move forth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yep, I'll follow right on his ass.
Okay.
I'm gonna smack him with my tail a couple times comically.
As you do this, give a couple quick whaps and move into the tunnel ahead of him. Opening it to the one side, you see there's no cracks in the walls here. There's no oozing. But almost in a spate, the nearby crevice that glows and spills forth whatever this somewhat translucent green substance, sulfuric in its scent and foreboding in its presence, sizzles as it slips out some further from the crevice and then suddenly begins to vibrate and spill forth rapidly, closing the distance upon where you're located, next to the doorway, almost as if a paint can had suddenly been spilled intentionally towards you. Where would Yolanda be as Sorth is making his way in through the doorway that Bjorn is, standing to the side of? Or do you walk into the tunnel?
I'd follow in behind Sorth.
Okay. And Yolanda as well?
Yeah, I'll be right behind Bjorn actually. Be at the back.
Alright, with that said, you make your way inside the tunnel easily enough as the strange ooze closes in upon the space. It comes right up to the edge of the doorway and sputters against the opening of the hall as you guys make your way down in. It follows you down the hall for a little ways before stopping abruptly, seeming to have reached its extents. It ebbs backwards a little bit as if a tide receding. Meanwhile, inside this tunnel, you see that it extends for about 25 feet ahead of you before heading up a flight of stairs. Now, as it does so, it curls to the right and disappears from view. You can see that there seems to be a natural light coming up from ahead.
I'm pretty excited to see natural light, so I'll shove my way to the front and rush on out of there.
All right. You do so. Heading up the flight of stairs is easy enough. It's not too high or steep, and getting around the corner, it's more of the same sort of hallway. It's about 10 feet wide and 20 feet in height, as a matter of fact. quite the tall hall. But the point is that there's an opening on the left side about 10 feet up against the wall, and it leads into a flume that heads upwards against the mountainous terrain that this structure is built into. The flume is clearly providing a fair breeze that is rushing down into the space, and there's bits of dust that come with it. Sparkles of snow that still reside within the crevice dance down and cloud about, sparkling through the air. And along all this, of course, the occasional blip of strange, brightly glowing green can be seen, coming from a bit of a crack here or a split there in the masonry or earthen surface. As you look down the hall, you can also see it extend away for... let's see. It would extend away for about 50 feet before abruptly ending in a set of double doors. You can see that the hallway opens up into a T-junction, probably actually just in front of the doors there. So it goes down 50 feet, and then you can see it opens up into a bit of a space there with a set of double doors at the back of it. The light here is, as I said, coming from the flume, a natural sort, and it's accentuated with a couple crystal sconces that are situated in the ceiling of the space. Oh, Dobransky dropped off.
How big would this flume be?
So the flume, from what you can tell, it seems fairly wide. It's also extending up for a bit of a distance, but the opening that leads into it initially starts out only about maybe 2-3 feet in width. The height of the window leading into the flume is maybe about the whole of the 10 feet, really. It's a sloping surface leading up into this creviced space. And as I said, you can see the sky actually. If you really lean against it, you can look up and see the sky overhead, the cliffs that are looming on either side of this space.
Yeah, I just want to take a look up there, see how big it is, and if it looks like I could make it to daylight through there.
You could effectively wedge yourself through there if you wanted to try and climb and squeeze up through the space. It's a bit moss covered at the edge of the opening, and there's ice and frost that are still formed around the place, so it promises to be a very difficult climb. The initial 10 feet of the wall being well masoned and whatnot, you can climb up it somewhat ladder-like by slipping your feet between the big brick cracks. But once you get to the crevice, it becomes a natural hewn, well and smooth surface that you're fighting against.
And when it becomes the hewn surface, is it like tight enough that I could have my back against it, my legs on the far wall?
Once you squeeze through the opening, you figure you could probably do that, yes. It does open up as you get higher up, so you're not quite sure, but you could absolutely do that initially, yeah.
Is there anything that if I were to shoot my grappling arrow to, that it could stick into and we could, climb up that way?
I want to say throw perception.
Okay, give us a sec. Load faster. $24.
Nice. You managed to sight upon a what looks to be sprig of a tree situated in the rocky surface at the edge of some mossy crenellations. As the crevice opens and widens, there's little ridges with moss dripping down off them, and one of them happens to have a bit of a tree trunk sticking off it.
All right. Then I'm gonna I'm gonna knock that and try to shoot for that little tree.
All right, sounds like a plan.
See if I can actually hit the damn thing. Ooh, maybe not. 14 to hit.
The arrow skitters against the rocky surface, sliding comically as it suddenly thunks unexpectedly into the tree trunk up above.
Oh, it's actually 6.
It actually hit, yeah.
Wait, I'm gonna tug on it a couple times to make sure it's sturdy enough.
The whole tree trunk shakes a little bit, and you hear the unmistakable sound of the moss and leaves that are growing off it give a little bit of a rustle as you do. You're not sure if it's super tight the way it is.
All right, I'm gonna hand the. Assuming that it's okay, I'm gonna hand the rope to Yolanda.
I'll
You first, buddy.
Yeah, they-
last. I think I can hold you if we start to slip.
start racing, I guess.
So what's going on, gentlemen?
I'm going first. We're gonna go up the rope.
Rising up.
And I'm gonna cast enhance ability boost strength on myself
Okay,
before I go up last.
that's fair. Yolanda begins to climb up with an athletics check. Sorry, he was going first, yeah?
Yeah, I'm going first. I got 11.
Okay, just going to be enough to get yourself up towards the crevice. As you get up towards where the edge of the opening sits in the wall, there's a little bit of a ledge here. It's about, I'd say, 6 inches in width. It's not much, but it is enough for you to situate yourself on your haunch. You don't even need the rope at this point to sit where the opening is, and like I say, it's about a 3-foot opening that leads up into this crevice. The tree trunk is not too not too far away from where you're situated, but is still at this point about 5-6 feet up through this slender little flume that slowly widens up. It is initially just big enough that you can slip yourself up into it to stand somewhat wedged if you want to push yourself up into the space.
Well, I'll do just that then.
Alright. And you slip through the crack, easily finding yourself in the space and standing up sideways. Wedge yourself up for a moment before squeezing until you're standing straight up and down. You can see upwards towards where the tree trunk is sprouting against the opening, and moreover, you can see the opening, the edge of the opening high overhead. The rock flume here extends upwards probably about 50 feet, opening up to a pretty large space eventually, you imagine, but the angle of the flume so far from where you're standing doesn't provide a lot of space. Potentially, though, you could climb up this, just as Bjorn had suggested, using your pushing on either side.
So I can fit through, right?
You're standing straight up and down in it. It's a tight squeeze. It's a very tight squeeze.
If I can continue, then I'll try to continue.
Okay. As you start to climb up, you can hear a chittering coming from up overhead. And as you look upwards, you see what looks to be, you're not quite sure, maybe a weasel or something. It's rather large, though, for a weasel. But it pokes its head down into the opening. Meanwhile, in the hallway, the camera pans against where you're situated, watching your companion clamber for a moment in the crevice. As he's found himself wedged and starts to climb, you hear a voice at the far end of the hallway as someone shouts out something in Kalashite that you recognize as interloper and invader maybe. But looking over towards, you see the robed figure of one would-be cultist assailant. And as he aims towards you with a finger and a rather rude stare, the camera pans against his face and we cut to Laz, I believe it was. When last we left Laz, you were situated in the garage as well.
No, I was in the rotunda. I had just made my way to Sophie, who we figured out was only mostly dead, but not
That's
entirely dead. And the other cultist was on his way back at the moment, and that was literally the last freeze frame was I heard the other guy coming back from whatever he had got. Like the two cultists had come through the mirror, were going to get something. One of them was trying to get the book off of Sophie. I killed him, was going to try and get the book out as well when I realized that she was alive. Was trying to figure out what to do with her at the moment that I heard the other cultist coming back, and that's where we stopped.
Right, okay, fair enough. I thought you threw her over your shoulder and were making your way out of there.
Maybe that was it too. Yeah, sorry. Then yeah.
I was pretty sure you made it that far, because I'm pretty sure you made it away with her, leaving them in the dust. That being said, it's going to open up on you, making your way along the dark hallways of this place with the young woman over your shoulder. If I recall, her hand was iced over.
I don't remember if it was iced over. I don't have that note, but we'll go with what your remembrance is.
Regardless, as you're carrying her along, the book eventually comes loose of her grasp and falls to the ground. You've made decidedly good time running through the halls with her over your shoulder, but the question becomes, where are you going?
I mean, I guess I'm heading back out the way that I started coming in, or at least trying to find somewhere that we can hide out for a second, just to try and revive her and see what the hell is going on here.
That's fair. So with that said, I mean, Laz doesn't take long, and she's not especially heavy. You're on the, I want to say, home stretch that you know, running up the gangway, the tunnel, to get to the surface again. The book drops from her grasp, landing on the ground next to a crevice. Goop burbling nearby, threatening to consume it. She moans on your shoulder as she jostles slightly, trying to reach around to find it, unaware of her current situation.
Yeah, so I obviously noticed this.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Well, if I turn around and I look down and I see her, can I give it a little kick away from there and see if I can scoop it up?
Yeah, that's fine. Just throw me a dex check.
Sure.
She's not especially heavy.
Dexterity. We're rolling. Where are you? 17.
An easy bout of finesse later, you manage to pull the book into your grasp, holding her over your shoulder, still comatose, dangling, and not doing so great. She moans slightly in protest as you continue to make your way along the tunnel, headed towards the surface.
I didn't hear anything on this run back. I mean, I've got her on my shoulder and really nothing else going on.
As you basically from
So I gotta go to the garage to the tunnel.
Yeah, I was gonna say from the tunnel space that you were at, getting out to the garage, and then from there out to this driveway up out of the garage isn't that hard. Hard to imagine or achieve for Laz, really. So yeah, I mean, him pulling out with the woman over his shoulder is nothing. Probably looking at like really 10 rounds of running, like a minute's run to make it all the way up and out again. With that said, though, yeah, if you wanted to make it all the way to the surface, it wouldn't take much to do.
But I didn't hear anything on the way back. I didn't hear any people or anything
Oh
else.
yeah,
Nobody up
no,
behind
sorry.
me, nothing.
As you're escaping away, I mean, if you were really paying attention, you'd be able to hear. You'd probably have heard the individuals who you'd escaped from giving a bit of a chase. But they don't come that far into the place as it's rupturing away.
That was the only sound I heard. Okay.
Yeah, that'd be about it. They wouldn't really come too far into the place. So if you're making your way all the way to the surface, they stay back.
But nothing as I was because I had to make my way back through like the garage and that whole area. I didn't hear, like three knuckleheads trying to climb up anything or
Right, eh?
You're nothing.
Given the route that they took, actually,
nope. Okay.
No, come to think of it, if you're coming up through the tunnel, you know what, in truth, you'd probably come barreling right into the garage space as they were about to go through the secret tunnel.
So we would see Laz or won't see Laz?
He would hear you guys, I think is what it is.
Okay.
So as you're coming up through the garage, about to go up through the tunnel with her, you would probably hear these guys starting to screw around just down the tunnel with the cultists coming around the corner. So that works out well, actually.
So if I hear people that close, and I'm looking around the garage, and I happen to see a frame that is in the middle of the room somewhere, and I got a big hole in it, and it looks like I can put Sophie through the hole and into the frame to hide her from view.
That is true.
And then go inspect whatever that sound is. I'm assuming the closest thing to the garage would be the alkalite that's now saying accusatory things at whatever raccoons are in the shaft.
That would be correct. Yeah, you can hear that commotion going on, but you can't see that.
Okay. Yeah, so I would put Sophie into the best hiding spot I think I could put her for the moment, which is
That cage?
inside that frame.
That works. Yeah.
And then draw that weapon
And so you do.
and make my way to the door. And see
Making
what's
your
going
way
on
through
for
the tunnel
inspection.
and heading down towards where you heard the noise echo from is a fairly simple process that brings you to a stairwell, and a moment later, a few recognizable silhouettes. And from there, it finally cuts, and we have Barium situated with a pair of wide eyes that are a bit red at the edges, staring forth into the haziness of the space as several mercenaries mill about, looking the place over. It's only a moment later that the camera cuts to show the lot of you making your way out of the space, pulling back out of the driveway of the garage and coming up into the sunlight once again. Mansoor looks over towards where Barium's being attended to and beckons for Orion to have a seat as he approaches to speak to both of you. As you guys collect around, he looks to you, Orion, and then and then gestures towards Barium and says, I do not know that he is too well. I don't know that he will be okay to explore further. I should say, you guys pass by the bus, and as you guys come up towards the thing, Mansoor would be surprised by it, first off. But then he would ask you, does this run? Does this still operate?
Does it? I have a surprise to show you two.
As he opens up towards he walks in towards where the bus is and looks back towards you guys. What was that?
I'm gonna run over upon seeing the bus, and I'm gonna kiss the rims, because obviously it's too tall for me to kiss anything else. I'm gonna run up to one of the tires and just start kissing it. Oh, how I've missed you! Oh, my precious!
Oh, but your precious is a little different now.
Well, it just seems like it's seen a few battles.
No. It's something on the inside.
The heart of the machine. You must have upgraded the engine then, yes? Put a little extra kick in the motor, yeah?
I've done it. Since you've been gone, I've done it.
What do you...
I mastered the mechanai.
As I always knew you could. Why else do you think I tried to steal that other contraption from that old...
I finished the job and you didn't.
I never could have, but I knew you could, my friend. Please, show me.
I'm gonna take Orion inside. Show him the mechanai.
You do so. As you head inside the space, the interior is unmolested as it was when you left it. It's dark inside, save for the reflection of the spheroid at the back of the bus space, where it sits just as you left it. Pipes situated in all directions.
It certainly looks the same in here, but what did you do, Barry?
I transplanted the mechanai into the bus.
How did you manage that? It doesn't look any different.
The whole of the bus suddenly illuminates as the engine rumbles to life, a glow filling the space and causing contrast shadows to suddenly appear stark on the walls of the bus.
Ah, you added an auto starter. How great! If we were to ever get into some kind of cold atmospheric area, it would be great to start the engine when we're not there. Excellent, Barry. It's very good, yes.
Please, Orion, don't disrespect the mechanai.
What do you mean?
Inside the engine resides an elemental. One that's very familiar to the family that once drove this.
As Orion watches towards the engine and Barium's voice carries, you can see that the halo of orange flame around the whole of the spheroid engine is growing more and more intense until it starts to coalesce into a anthropomorphic figure that grows slowly out of it to stand forth some moments later, situated as such that it is sitting on the engine.
My jaw will just kind of drop, and then I'll get a big massive grin on my face as I look towards the entity. Barry, this is certainly something. Does it have a name?
Why don't you ask it yourself?
Greetings, Bean of the Engine. My name is Orion Triggerfinger. You can call me the Sandkraken, and I am, by title, possibly the captain of this vessel, and I am very glad to have you aboard. What is your name?
There's a moment that passes as the thing regards you, and then it steps down off the engine. Looking upon you from its stature overhead, it says, "I am, and you are. It is my pleasure to be your pleasure." And then it looks over towards where Barium and Mansoor stands, with Mansoor's jaw dropped down to his knees and his eyes agape, and his eyes matching his gaping expression. He simply looks back and forth from Barium to the spirit as if he were watching a very rapid tennis game, unsure of what to say. Meanwhile, the anthropomorphic form, flaming as it is, orange and illuminating the whole of the interior space, walks forth away from the engine, looking around for a moment before simply looking upon where you're situated again, and then says, "She is not here. She is nearby, though."
And who may she be? We will we'll do our best to bring her here at the behest of your request. I mean, you are here helping us. We will do everything we can to help you in return.
As the camera pans against you guys for a moment, showing the spirit giving you its focus, it gives a nod at this, and then looks towards Barium and says, "You are not well. You seem to be afflicted. I don't know that I would trust anything you see." And it continues to look into your face, its burning expression upon its face, giving a somber and concerned look into your soul, you would even begin to say. In any
What do
event,
you mean? I feel fine.
you say to this thing in front of you, your voice echoing off of the tin behind it, as it simply says, "So you say." It regards you for a moment, looking you up and down, making you a bit uneasy, although, like you say, you feel totally fine.
I'll look Barry up and down. Barry, perhaps you should go and sit and relax until we figure this out. If what this being says is true, we don't want to lose you, my friend. I mean, I just returned from the dead, and I wouldn't want to have to go track you down through the underworlds, through the spirit realms and all that jazz. It's not as fun as it sounds. Maybe you should go sit.
All the illnesses, diseases, and curses, I feel nothing.
Very well, I will trust your judgment, but if anything changes, do let us know, my friend.
With that said, as it
Perhaps
stands,
we should track down this woman that the engine is speaking about. Maybe that would be a good place to start. Do you know what it's talking about, Barry?
Might be Sophie.
As you say this, the camera cuts to show Sophie's face in the caged area, and then cuts to show the cultist at the end of the hall, and then cuts to show Bjorn's face, and then show Sorth's face, and then Laz show up from around the corner, and then shows Yolandu's feet.
I wiggle my toes.
Because that's like all you can see through the crevice. This is like I said, it's like a 2-foot crevice, right? Little window at the top of this place, and then you're talking about like a 2-foot width area. So yeah, it's literally all you can see is his feet there. But that said, everyone can roll initiative. That is to say, the ones participating in this little bit. So Laz, Bjorn, Sorth, Yolandu, you guys are part of this little encounter.
16 for Sorth.
Very nice.
Am I gonna fight that mole rat in the hole?
It's gonna go fisticuffs with it.
That thing's like 50 feet above you. Unless it poops on you, there's not much you can.
It shit's
Natural
acid.
20. Natural 20 on initiative.
There you go. Now, am I coming out behind this alcoholic? Because he's pointing at them, right? And I'm coming through the doorway he just came through, or no? I'm trying to understand the positioning in this hallway.
You're coming in behind your friends.
Okay.
Oh,
So you're past us and the acolyte's ahead of us. Like, kind of thing.
I don't know where all my white rags went.
It's like my long neck. It's look at the size.
You're like a giraffe, bro.
Yeah.
You're like a long necked triceratops, bro. You should get those rings that those people wear
Yes.
that like make their necks longer.
Yeah.
God.
Over time, just stretch your neck and have it like 6 feet long.
It'd just
Only
be like
imagine the neck pain they have.
the spitter.
Oh God. Do they ever take them off, or is that like a life thing?
I think it's a life thing.
Yeah. It's like the people with the plates in their lips.
Fuck. How do you sleep like that? Can you
It's
imagine?
down.
Gradually.
God. You know
Laz,
those people
what
with
you
the
got?
rings?
I had 19.
Very nice. What do you got, Bjorn?
9.
9.
I ain't nice.
Yolandu.
Natural 20 plus 3. So I guess 23.
Very nice. And Sorth.
16.
Cool. That's me there. Actually, no, I am just above. Yolandu is first, and then Wazelf, and then Laz, Sorth, and then Bjorn. Yolandu, you are up in the wedged area. Looking above yourself, you can see the weasel thing. It is rather large. It is rather far away. But looking down towards you with its large snout and whiskers, it does give a chitter. In an approving sort, you look like you would be good dinner. That said,
Does it
it
look-
slips down over the edge and begins to climb down the surface towards you.
So it's expressing hostile intent, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, hostile. It's hungry.
It's hungry.
Yeah, that's all. Your food.
Don't I smell pretty badly?
Yes.
Well, I don't want to be in, and considering the fact that my hands are full holding onto that rope, I'm going to try to like back up, slide back down. The shaft.
Sorry, one sec here. What the hell? Shit. I have a work emergency that just popped up.
Dang. You need to go? Or
Yeah, it's looking like I may have to call this for the moment. Shit. Sorry, guys.
All
Alright.
good.
that's alright, bro.
Yep.
I was gonna get killed by the Mora anyway.
Bro, you
We're all
gotta
adults
keep you
here.
gotta keep OnlyFans running. I get it. You know, you can't let that shit go down.
Apparently I should test a patch before I release it. I'm not sure what... Alright. I'll talk with you guys later.
Ciao.
Sorry
Alright,
about this.
By the way.
Later, guys. Save the
Bye,
world.
guys.
Have fun working. God, that's